What's up guys, and welcome to this tutorial. Today we're going to talk about how to add new stats or attributes to the character. So the first thing I want to do here is take a look at the character, and if we look here in the player stats, this is a struct which has all these stats. So there are two types of attributes. So stats that can be obtained from items such as weapons. So in this case it would be, for example, strength, dexterity, maybe some attack speed, etc. And other attributes that are like specific to the character, such as experience, level. So level, for example, is not a stat that can be found on a weapon or an item, so it doesn't make sense. In that case, this attribute right here is specific to the character, so you can simply add it to the player stat structure, and then of course have its own logic somewhere. For example, killing AI or monsters will of course contribute to this to leveling the character. So in this case we're going to take a look at both of them. So this player stats right here, if we simply look for stats, so we have S player stats, and this is the structure that the character is currently using. So if you need to add some attribute that has nothing to do with item stats, then feel free to add it here. But in this case, we're going to talk about how to add a new stat that we can also or can also be obtained from items such as a weapon. So in this case, we're going to add something similar to maybe string. Let's, for example, add a new stat called luck. So the first thing I want to do here is inside this structure, we're going to create a new variable here called luck, of course. So it's going to be of type maybe float, and of course give it the name luck. So we added it here. Next is going to be the stats enum. So we're going to add a new stat here, and we're going to call it, of course, luck there. We can give it a description here as well. Next, we're going to open this GSI stats color. This is where you indicate the color of stats shown in the tooltip. So going to add another variable here, and we're simply going to call it stat24. So you can of course give them distinctive names, but in this case I'm going to simply call it stat24 and change the type to color. And of course right here you want to change the color to something else, like make sure that the alpha of course is 1 there. And then next, once you do this, you want to open the BP stat W, then go to the graph section, and then we have this. And as you can see here in this select node, we have this luck added right here automatically. So we're going to simply link it to the stat24 like so, then compile of course and save. Next is the BP player stats W here. So we're going to open that, and this is where we have our stats added. So what we can do here is we're simply going to select one of these, do Control C or right click of course, copy, then paste it on the vertical box. So we can do paste, and we can name it something like stat entry luck right there. Then of course you want to select it, go to the stat name here in the details panel, and maybe name it luck. Then let's go to the graph section here, and we have a update stats function. Of course this function just simply takes in or take the struct, the player stats from the character, and simply take in these entry and update it. So what we're going to do here is go all the way down here and simply duplicate this one and get the luck stat entry here. So if we just write luck there, we have this. So you want to link it there to the target, and then get the value from the struct right here like so. So that would be the stat value, and then you want to of course continue the chain there. So here you have two other options. Max value, so this is where you have something that has a min and a max, such as attack. So attack, for example, can be from a certain value to a certain value. Is percent is simply indicating whether the value is a percentage. For example, resistance is a percentage. Crit chance, for example, is also a percent. So in this case, it's not a percent, so we're going to leave it like this. The AI has a different stat struct called SAI stats. If the AI can also benefit from or use this stat, of course, go ahead and add it right here. So as you can see here, we also have level, movement speed, etc. So the same thing minus, for example, XP and current XP, etc. So AI is different, of course. So if AI is also able to use that new stat, add it to the s_AI stats. Next, you want to go to tooltip. So you want to open the BP on hover tooltip widget. Then you want to go to the graph section here and find the update stats event. If the new attribute or stat is a percentage based, such as crit chance, etc., make sure you add it to this array. So you want to click on the add pin here. This is only used for visual, so it adds the percentage sign there. So in our case here, it's not, so we're not going to do it. Next, you want to open BP jig container and look for get stat name and double click on that. This function right here simply uses the stat to get a certain name. So in this case, luck, we can simply return luck. Then compile and save. If you go now to the data table, for example, weapons, the weapons data table, and select, for example, this spear. If we go to the item stats right here, for example, we can add a new stat here, and then we can find luck there. So we can, for example, say that luck, or this spear has 20 luck, for example. Finally, go ahead and open the main character and look for, so you want to look for jig on item equipped and jig on item unequipped. These two functions trigger when a new item is equipped. And this is where stats are added to the character after equipping something. So we're using the stat enum here, and based on these stats right here, we update, for example, strength on the player stats structure. So what you want to do here is go all the way down here and get the stat structure. So player stats, and you want to do set members. And then when you do the set members, it will allow you to modify a single value on this stat, or on this struct, sorry. So player stats, what we want to modify is we want to modify luck. So that's what we want to do here. And then, of course, you want to link it to the from the switch on enum here. So it's going to be coming from luck. So you want to simply plug in the new value. So this new value is already calculated right here. So this new value is already assigned right here. So it just gets the current value of luck, and then it adds the added value from the stat. So that's what we want to do here. So simply do this right here. Next, you want to find the get current stat value, which is a function. We can use this function to get the value of a certain stat. So all we need to do here is simply plug in the luck right there. Finally, we're going to do the same thing with jig on item unequipped and simply do the same thing here. So once again, get the player stats, do set members, and find luck, and simply add in the value right here. And once again, this is already calculated beforehand. So we simply need to assign it using this enum right here, switch on enum. So go all the way down there and just do this, and we should be good to go. So now if we go ahead and play and equip our spear, as you can see on the tooltip there, we have our luck and of course the color that we chosen earlier. So luck 20, which is the value that we assigned inside the data table. Now the important thing here is, of course, we need to make sure that we have this attribute or new attribute recognized in our character stat. So if we go to attributes and scroll down, we should see luck 20 right there. And of course, after unequipping the spear, we should see 0. And of course, you can also assign like default stats right here. For example, if I go to the player stats structure, and I can, for example, say that the character starts with 10 by default. And if we play right here, we should, of course, have 10 luck. And of course, equipping the spear is going to add 20, and then we will have 30 in total, as you can see there. So that is pretty much it for this tutorial. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And until then, stay safe and see you later. Goodbye.